वो मेरे नज़रों के सब सामने हुआ था। मेरे खुद को भी बिलीव नहीं होता कि मैं कैसे उसमें से जिंदा बाहर निकला।
Chad, this is the one survivor of the airplane. I want to see this.
थोड़ा टाइम लेके तो मेरे को लगा था कि मैं भी मरने वाला हूँ, लेकिन जब मेरी आँख खुल के मैं देखा ना तो मुझे लगा मैं जिंदा हूँ। तो मैंने ट्राई किया, जब मेरी सीट थे वो मेरी बेल्ट निकाला, मैंने वो ट्राई किया जहाँ से निकल सकता वहाँ से, तो मैं निकल गया वहाँ से। मेरे सामने नज़रों के सामने एयर होस्टल और दूसरे आंटी अंकल सभी उसमें मिस हो गए थे सभी।
अच्छा, थोड़ा सा बता पाएं जब जैसे ही टेक ऑफ हुई फ्लाइट क्या हुआ था? और
I did some research about it, yeah, because I was interested because I really like planes in general, and Chat, I didn't find anything conclusive about what happened. Are they going to release some information, Chat? Because with all the footage, whatever, it seems like there's just no answer at all. The only thing that I've seen is that they've taken a lot more of the runway that they normally need to take off. So it was already kind of like GG from the like. There's a problem if you need to take more runway, right? Like a lot more.
अचानक से ये कैसे हादसा हुआ?
टेक ऑफ के बाद 1 मिनट के अंदर
Rat deployed.
टेक ऑफ हुआ ना।
Yeah, some little spinner thing. Yeah.
5-10 सेकंड कैसे लगा जैसे स्टक हो गया वो। बाद में से मेरे को लगा कि कुछ हुआ। बाद में प्लेन में लाइट ऑन हो गई, ग्रीन और व्हाइट। बाद में वो पता नहीं वो प्लेन टेक ऑफ ज्यादा करने के लिए वो रेस तो बोलते हैं क्या, रेस दिया होगा ऐसा कुछ, और सीधा स्पीड में ही घुस गया जहाँ वो
डबल इंजन फेलियर।
ये जब फ्लाइट जब क्रैश हुई उस समय हॉस्टल पे लैंड की थी, उसी समय आप बाहर निकले थे?
क्योंकि आई थिंक मेरे को जब मैं जो साइड पे था ना, वो साइड हॉस्टल पे नहीं लैंड हुई थी। हॉस्टल के जो ग्राउंड फ्लोर है ना, जैसे नीचे वहाँ लैंड हुई थी। तो मुझे दूसरे के बारे में मेरे को पता नहीं, लेकिन मेरा लैंड हुआ था ना, वो नीचे की साइड थी। वहाँ थोड़ा पेस भी था।
People said the flaps were fucked, but then a lot of things said that they didn't.
जैसे मेरा डोर टूटा ना सब, तो मैंने देखा ना जब सामने कि थोड़ा इधर पेस।
Oh wait, what is he saying? We're not on the ground.
के बारे में मेरे को पता नहीं, लेकिन मैं जहाँ लैंड हुआ था ना, वो नीचे की साइड थी। तो जब वहाँ थोड़ा पेस भी था प्लेन के जब बाहर, तो जब जैसे मेरा डोर टूटा ना सब, तो मैंने देखा ना जब सामने थोड़ा इधर पेस है, मैं ट्राई कर सकता हूँ निकलने के लिए। तो मैंने ट्राई किया निकलने के लिए, तो फिर मैं निकल गया उधर, क्योंकि अपोजिट साइड पे था ना वो बिल्डिंग का वो था ना दीवार, तो उधर से कोई शायद नहीं निकल सका होगा, क्योंकि उधर पूरा उधर ही क्रैश हुआ था।
आप पैदल चल के आए वहाँ से निकल?
और थोड़ा जब आग लगी ना, मेरा लेफ्ट हैंड भी जल गया थोड़ा। फिर एम्बुलेंस मेरे को उठा लेके इधर आया हॉस्पिटल में।
अभी इलाज वगैरह कैसा हो रहा है? अभी कैसा फील कर रहे हैं आप?
इलाज बहुत अच्छा है, यहाँ के लोग बहुत सपोर्टिंग है, बहुत अच्छा इलाज कर रहे हैं।
Don't say it was sus. I don't like that. I think people casting doubts and suspicions or whatever is odd. If you have that, say it to yourself and investigate with the information available or whatever. Don't go out and find sense like that. It's just fucking weird, man. Like this guy might have like a lot of like recovery and shit, maybe even survivor's guilt or whatever. This guy just fucking lived out of like fucking 100 other people as a sole survivor in some traumatic event, and you're like, dude, this guy was probably not on the plane. Show me the documents. Like, brother, the documents are out there. Just fucking look for them and make it like, don't go out and fucking send this shit. I think it's odd. I don't want to be Karen. I think it's odd. I think it's weird. I don't let people do it. Come on, bro. You feel me? Top right. Oh, this guy's the GOAT, no?
All right, friends, I promised you we'd come back to you as soon as possible, as soon as we got some new information about this tragic accident over in India and some...
Yeah, right here, this part right here, this little thing right here.
New video has emerged that's changed my analysis of this accident in particular. And let me recap for you where I started on this. And basically there's 3 camps that everybody is still in about, what, 48 hours almost after the original accident.
It's the rat.
Theory number 1 was that there was some sort of dual engine failure. And then the backup to that was it was either a bird strike or it was some sort of fuel contamination that led to that dual engine failure. That was theory number 1. Theory number 2 was the pilots didn't have the flaps set properly for takeoff. In other words, the flaps were up. And as they ran down the runway, they got a little bit of air, but eventually the airplane just kind of waddled down and crashed.
Another guy on YouTube said that if the flaps during takeoff weren't up, it would be like beeping like fucking crazy and shit, and it's like not really possible. It's not really possible that it would do
because the
that.
flaps weren't set properly. The third theory, and the one that I was leaning to the most, and let me just say leaning to, I wasn't firmly in this camp, but I was leaning towards it, was they had the flaps set properly for takeoff. When they rotated, everything was normal. At the time that the pilot flying would ask for gear up, the other pilot mistakenly grabbed the flap handle and prematurely raised the flaps. That was, at the time, the thing that seemed most evident to me, because the landing gear stayed down for the entire duration, short as it would be, for this flight, and there was no evidence out of the engines that was any sort of failure. No fire, no sparks, no smoke coming out of the engines. A real head scratcher on that front. And so I thought maybe it was simply they grabbed the wrong handle and prematurely raised the flaps. I was leaning
But at this stage of flight, though, it would already start retracting the gear, no? I thought it doesn't take much for them to start retracting.
Into that department. I'm going to change my analysis now because of this new video, and it's based on the original video that all of us watched. And we saw two main videos, the one where the airplane was running down the runway and then rotated and took off, and you saw it crash in the distance.
Maybe the other problems were taking their attention so that they didn't, because it's not automatic. The other problems were taking their attention that they didn't do it because of that, because they were busy doing the other shit that was probably going crazy.
The other one was a video that was taken from kind of a rooftop or a window where the airplane came from left to right and then descended down out of the screen, and then you saw the fireball there. I'm going to show you that video in its original form.
I'll watch it.
Now, what do I mean by that? The video that we all saw and every major news network on the planet went with was a video of a video, and the quality was extremely poor. The original that was presumably taken from an iPhone or some sort of cell phone is much sharper. It's not a terrific video by any means, but it's much sharper than the video of the other video. So what happened was some cameraman was in front of a screen watching the video play, and you can see him at the very end of it. You can actually see his shadow, and you can hear people talking in the background. So the audio is not very good, and the visual is not very good. The original is going to show us something that's going to change this whole thing. Let me run the video.
Sean Airplane has got the video.
You take a look at it, and then I'll talk about it after it runs. Can you hear how crisp that is? You didn't hear that. You didn't hear the actual crash on the original video. You could see it, but you didn't hear it. Why? Because there was people talking in the background. This original is much sharper. Now you're looking at it going, well, I've seen that a bunch of times. You haven't seen it this clearly a bunch of times. Now, I want to run it again, and I want you to, we're going to zoom in on something, and I'm going to show you something and explain it, because this is a total game changer. Right there, my friends.
What's more?
Take a look. We've circled it for you. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the theory that the rat had deployed. What's a rat? It's a ram air turbine. It deploys on, many airplanes have it. 787 has it, 777 has it. The rat is basically just behind the wing on the right side of the airplane. There's a little door that holds it in, and it looks like a little Evinrude motor. It's a little two-bladed prop, and the purpose of the ram air turbine is to provide electrical and hydraulic pressure for the aircraft in an extreme emergency. On the 787 in particular, there's three things that will deploy the rat, and it deploys automatically. A massive electrical failure, a massive hydraulic failure, or a dual engine failure. So any one of those three things will cause that rat to deploy. So up to this point, all of the theories that we've had were based on maybe one bit of solid evidence.
Chad, this during takeoff is GG, no? I mean, Chad, during takeoff, I mean, it's when you need the plane to be like at full juice.
But not 2 or maybe 1.5. But, you know, it's hard to go with a theory when you've only got like one thing to go on. I'm going to give you 3 or more for why I think the rat deployed and why I think this was a dual engine failure. I'm firmly in that camp now. Number 1 is right here. Take a look at your screen. In the middle of the circle, you see kind of it looks like a protrusion on the belly of the aircraft. And I'm not trying to be salacious with this. It looks like a nipple at the bottom of the airplane, all right? Just underneath that, you see a little gray dot. It almost looks like an artifact on the screen. That little gray dot is the rat. This is visual confirmation that the rat deployed. What is that protrusion underneath the airplane? That's the door that opened to allow the rat to come down. And you can see it here. You can see it very vividly on this screen. It's not the best. It's kind of grainy still. It's at least one bit of the puzzle here. So
the other video was actually better.
Now, evidence number 2 is with our ears, all right? Because a rat makes a very distinctive sound. And in that original video, the audio was so bad, you couldn't really catch it. But in this, the one that they were showing us, the original one, it's much more clear. And it sounds like a prop airplane going by, or a real high-pitched squeal, because it's a two-bladed prop, and it's basically spinning at the speed of sound to produce the energy, the electric.
Chat, you cannot pause it. You cannot hold it anymore.
I'm going to put it on a loop. I think we're going to listen to it 3 times. Listen for that high-pitched prop sound. Remember, this is a jet. It's not a prop as it goes by. Listen.
Oh, yeah, I hear it. Yeah, I hear that.
Okay, it sounded like it. If you weren't looking at it, it sounded like a single engine prop airplane just flew by. You might look up and expect to see a little Cessna going by. And in fact, it is a little bitty Cessna. It's a little bitty two-bladed prop that's spinning as fast as it possibly can. Now, the Rat was originally designed. We're not
even hearing the fucking the jets either. Normally they go. We're hearing nothing.
As a back, the last
from that
resort,
close, it'd be loud as fuck.
It's a
dude, you hear that from kilometers away.
At altitude, let's say you're at 30,000 feet, both engines flame out for some reason. You start descending down, you're looking for a suitable field, you're out of hydraulics and you're out of electric because both of your engines have stopped running. Maybe the auxiliary power unit isn't running, but it's not going to get you any thrust either. And so let's assume that's out. At that point, you've got to have some sort of electrical so you can talk on the radios, so you can have shoot some sort of an approach and get some sort of instrumentation in front of you. And then you have to have some sort of hydraulics to still fly the airplane. It gives you the minimum of all of those categories that I just mentioned.
Chat. If normally you only need to take what, like 40%, 50% of the runway or whatever for takeoff, right? If they're at like 70% and there's still not enough power, shouldn't they make the call and say, yo, fuck this? I mean, it's catastrophic. We're not doing shit. Like we're just gonna full brake and then hopefully it's still gonna be a major accident. It's still gonna break down after the runway, like in the grass or whatever. It's gonna fuck up. But at least you're not gonna GG. It's not too late. It's too late to be perfect. But it's not too late for everybody's gonna die. You're not everybody's gonna die.
But it does work. But it's meant for the airplane to cruise down now and find a place to land. It's not designed for an airplane that's at 400 or 500 feet and loses all power. There's no time to get the engines relit. And it's not going to provide much benefit to them, except it's evidence for us that it was a dual engine failure, most likely. Could have been an electrical issue, could have been a hydraulic issue, it could have been either one of those. But I think the fact that the airplane is now just kind of mushing out of the sky gives us the idea that it was a dual engine failure, but we can hear it. So there's confirmation number 2. We've got the visual that we can see the Rat deployed. We can hear it with our ears. And let me just give you one more confirmation on that, because there was a Japan Air 787 that landed in an emergency with the Rat deployed.
Chat,
so you can hear one.
Chat, that would be a split-second decision, though, no? Chat, let's say you knew you didn't have enough power. That would be insane. No, I don't think any humans can do that. Guys, you're talking about voluntarily endangering. It's automatic. Oh, really? You can't stop it. There's no override.
You can see this clearly. So let me run that for you and listen to it. Hear that sound? It sounds just like a World War II buzzboy going right by you. Like it sounds like a little Cessna. And so we can see clearly on that.
Not the Rat, you fucking moron. Oh my God. Oh no, chat. No, you're not listening. Not about the Rat. I'm just saying. If you're still on the runway, the decision. Let's say you were like, dude, we don't have enough power. This is GG to not take off.
Airplane, the Rat is deployed. This one, the Air India, not so much, but it's grainy and it's in a distance. So you've got the oral, right? You've got the visual, grainy as it might be. What is the third clue here that they had a dual engine failure? The third is this, the eyewitness report. You go, wait a minute, what do you mean eyewitness report? There was one survivor from this crash. Unbelievably miraculous that this guy, he literally walked away from the crash. He's been confirmed it wasn't a hoax. He was in seat 11A. He was right by an emergency exit, a few rows in front of the spar of the wing of the aircraft.
People saying the engines fell in the air.
xQcOW.
Maybe they fully failed in the air, but before they fully failed, it's been said that they take more place on the runway. They took more space, way more, all the way to the end. So there was already a problem, but they weren't probably full capacity beforehand.
This guy, he literally walked away from the crash. He's been confirmed it wasn't a hoax. He was in seat 11A. He was right by an emergency exit, a few rows in front of the spar of the wing of the aircraft. I think that spar saved his life because that's the strongest, heaviest part of the airplane. That's probably what took the impact when they hit those buildings. He was in his seat. He didn't go unconscious. He gets out. He opens up the door and he jumps out of the airplane, right? And he's literally walking to the hospital after that. They've talked to him, and he said just prior to the crash, he heard a loud bang and the lights flickered on the inside of the airplane. Now, that bit of evidence all by itself, it's not all that compelling because you go, the guy's been through a really traumatic thing, and he could have imagined it. It could have been he hit something on the way down. The airplane did. That's the most unreliable, an eyewitness. But we need to combine that now with the visual on the Rat being deployed, the oral that we heard the Rat and when it went by, briefly as it was. And now we've got a guy saying he heard a loud bang and the lights flickered. What would cause that? The deployment of the Rat. And then it's going to take over electrical and hydraulic. And as it does that, the lights in the airplane would flicker. So there's the third bit of evidence. What's 3.5
it overrides it then.
I've heard, but I haven't heard the ATC audio yet, but I've heard reports that the captain got out a Mayday call, and when he did his Mayday call, he said they were losing thrust or something to that effect. So that could be a possible fourth evidence that they had a dual engine failure. That gives us a tremendous amount of clarity now at this point. So I'm going to put, at least in second place, the idea that the co-pilot raised the flaps premium.
How does that even happen, though? I'm asking, how do, if ahead of time they test it, whatever, and then that they both fail insta?
Charlie, that might end up in third place.
Fuel contamination.
I'm solidly now in the camp that they had some sort of dual engine failure. The rat is deployed. You can hear the rat. You've got eyewitness testimony that something loud banged underneath the airplane. It was probably the rat. With all of those things being said, I think it's pretty clear.
Yo,
it gives us
people saying Boeing sucks. I will not take any slander. Bro, their 787 is a fucking marvel. I'm not taking any slander. You're going to take that shit back. Bro, you're fucking busted. This shit's been flying for fucking ever. What, 2012 or some shit like that? They've had zero incidents. This is the first incident ever since this plane's been in fucking in action. You fucking loser fuck.
a lot of clarity. Let me put it that way. It gives us a lot of clarity, and at the same time, it sends us completely back to square one. Why is that? Because we have no idea why both engines on a 787 would flame out right after rotate. No clue whatsoever. There is a thing called Aviation Herald. They came out with a report now over in India. Their initial report, and you can see it at their website. It's Aviation Herald is what it's called. You can see their report. They ruled out a few things. One of them was bird strike, because they said they inspected the runway and there was no dead birds on the runway. We can run that one out. They also said, though, that they didn't think it was a dual engine failure, which I think they probably got that wrong at this point. And they also said they didn't think it was pilot error. So I think 2 out of 3 from that report are pretty accurate. The dual engine failure goes right up now.
Chat,
to
how much pilot error could there really be on takeoff, though? Probably not a lot, right? I'm getting there's only a few things that they probably got to do. There's probably not a lot of margin here. A lot, really?
Priority number 1 or theory number 1 with the 4 bits of evidence I've given you today. Folks, I hope that the black box data tells us why both engines would fail at the same time, but I have no clue. Fuel contamination, it's one of the possibilities, but you know what? There's more, and I'm going to leave the door wide open to what else could have happened to cause both engines on a 787 to flame out at the same time. It's a real head scratcher at this point. We've got some clarity, though, today on what actually happened based on 4 hard bits of information. Thanks for hanging with me on this one, folks. There's probably more to come. Now you know, I'm Captain Steve.
I mean, I'm sure they'll run the investigation. I mean, I'm sure they have the black box, all that, and they're going to do the super duper, like, thing. And we'll have some more answer. Co-pilot error suspected. Yahoo News. I love Yahoo News. I read this all the time.
Thank you for an awesome 34 months.
Claim that a junior co-pilot may have been asked to retract the landing gear, but pulled up. Nah, there's no shot. There's no shot. Chat, there's absolutely no shot. The levers are in 2 very different locations. One is at top left, one bottom right. One bottom right. If the fucking co-pilot had made this error, it'd be completely brain dead. It'd be a super new pilot, like 10 hours of flight. You'd never do this error. And the other pilot would have seen it, and it would have corrected him. No shot. No way. No fucking how. No, there's no shot. Guys, this is like saying it. Guys, I was driving my car, and instead of pressing the gas pedal, I turned on the radio. It's a clear mistake. Like, anybody could make this mistake. No, that's just not true. That's just it's too far out. I don't think it's very plausible. I think it's fucking stupid.
Don't care about your opinion anyways, cut your ugly out
40,
hair.
30, 20, retard.
Slam it. Ooh, take that. Get her down. Nose down. Let's go hard.
Chat, could you simulate in a simulator what would happen if both your engines failed at a certain key point or whatever? What if you were to simulate that and say, okay, I want the simulator that both engines fail, boom. 2 seconds after takeoff, boom. With this particular plane, it would probably show you.
Hyper efficient wing, and it's very skinny in this picture, which is not what I would want to be seeing right here. Just after takeoff, what's going to happen is there's going to be a...
Wait, you said what now? I'm not watching all this, by the way.
And the wings kind of flex and bend up. They come from underneath the fuselage and they flex up. It's a hyper efficient wing, And it's very skinny in this picture, which is not what I would want to be seeing right
Simulate
here.
my balls
Just
on your
after
face.
takeoff, what's going to happen is there's going to be a pilot flying and a pilot monitoring. So the pilot flying is going to initiate the rotation. In this case, on the Boeing 787, it's a yoke. So they're going to pull back on the yoke, and then the pilot monitoring is going to say positive rate. Once you have a positive VVI, that's your vertical velocity indicator showing that you are climbing away from the runway. Then the pilot flying is going to say gear up. Pilot monitoring is going to reach over and put the gear.
Chad, the other, by the way, is here. I'm pretty sure that's the other one. They would make the mistake between this one and that one. That's crazy.
Up, but they're not.
You are
touch the
not making that
flaps. You
mistake.
leave the
No
flaps where
shot.
they're at until you accelerate to certain speeds that are dictated by the aircraft that are safe to fly without flaps. Flaps are extremely necessary to fly at low airspeeds in heavy aircraft like this, and it changes the entire shape of the wing so that you can fly at slower airspeeds and still remain airborne. So you have to get faster before you start to retract those flaps. And there's certain settings that you retract the flaps at, and you go slowly. You do it in a synchronized manner where you go one flap setting up, get faster, one flap setting up, and get faster. So it's very odd to me to see all the flaps up, because if you're doing some sort of a crash landing type situation, you know you're going to come in and have to glide into a landing. You're going to put the flaps down because you're going to get slower. You're not going to want to stall the aircraft, so you're going to put the flaps down. But in this case, the gear should likely be up because you just took off. I'll give a full description of the map after this. I'll show you the airport diagram, so stay for that. And then I'll give you my official debrief here at the end as well. But we'll step through some possible causes for this situation.
Okay, well, like I said, chat, guys, if, let's say, the rat kicked in because there's a big problem, right? The gear, it would make sense that the gear didn't go, the fucking landing gear didn't go up, no? I feel like there's some series of events this guy's not considering, but this guy's an expert. I'm a fucking loser, so I don't know. I'm gonna fucking go be Canadian and watch something. Maple Sub Construction, stuff like that.